focus. A recent study by the Asian Development Bank has revealed that the pandemic-induced learning loss among school children will lead to a massive 3.19% reduction in India's GDP by 2030. That is a decline of about $99 billion. And India's school children suffered greatly during the COVID pandemic due to learning losses induced by closure of schools and lack of access to technology and the internet. The study has informed that such extensive school closures lead to decline in GDP and employment, and that a notable chunk of those impacted could migrate to the unskilled labor force. India has the highest number of children enrolled in schools among the Asian economies surveyed in this ADB, Asian Development Bank study, and that India is also one of the countries that had the longest school closures during the pandemic. All right, I'm joined by a special guest on the broadcast, Sumanthi Chakravarthy, who's a Managing Director of Infinite Sum Modeling Inc. and she's also the co-author of this study. Sumanthi Chakravarthy, thank you for making time and speaking to Mirror Now on this very significant report that links the learning loss with India's GDP that could take a hit. For the benefit of our viewers, could you share more details about this report that you have co-authored?
Of course, thanks Archana and thanks Mirror Now. This report focuses on the idea that what happens due to school closures on not just education as a sector, but overall economy. So looking at the macroeconomic perspective. But having said that, the report is based on school closures that you already said. So basically, it's based on the school closures, demographics, and the general population, and India being a very big economy. Of course, our youth population is high, and one of the main reasons why the GDP is getting hit. But the digitization and penetration is not taken into account in the study. Like, it's not taken into account as of today. So the study is backwards from 2020. And the number that you see for 2030 is a cumulative number. So the idea that we will lose this much percentage of GDP, 3.16%, it's a cumulative loss from 2020 to 2030. So it's not a single year loss. So the 98 billion is a cumulative loss. Having said that, even with all that, India surely gets hit quite a bit, mainly because of these two things, which is the youth population and the accessibility to internet. And one more additional fact is that, of course, the internet penetration in India is divided between urban and rural, even though there are few places where, of course, the internet is great. There are also few pockets that are in dark, which is about 36% of households. So that's the main reason why you see what you see. But also we have to make sure that this is a 10-year total GDP loss and not a single year GDP loss.
All right. And Sumanthi, thank you for sharing those very crucial numbers with us. So what are the solutions? What can be immediately done to address this problem?
So the immediate, some of them are being already done, because when we wrote this paper, we started writing about it like 1.5 years ago when COVID started getting hit by itself. So some of the things that has already been done is digitization. I think India was like, say about 20-ish% back in 2017, 18. Now it's about 60%. So that's a good step forward. We have to keep doing that. But that should not stay with certain pockets or among certain households. So in both state and central government have to work together to be able to facilitate policies towards digitization. And infrastructure towards digital economy should keep moving forward, and digital education. Right. Funding such initiatives are very important. But one, COVID was unexpected when it came. But there are going to be many such things, and this is very important junction for us, given that the loss in any educational year is directly proportional to the loss in labor market. Right. And India being such a big economy, that's very important.
Right. Right. Thank you so much, Sumanthi Chakravarthy, for your time and sharing these important details as far as the impact of learning loss on India's GDP is concerned.
Thank you, Archana.
All right, shifting focus to another important report. We're talking about the Education Ministry report. Startling facts have come to light as Education Ministry released the National Achievement Survey 2021 report. Now, what are the takeaways of this? Nearly half of the school-going children in the country travel to their respective schools on foot. Yes, 48% students in India commute to schools on their foot, followed by 18% students who go to school on bicycles. The survey also pointed out that 87% schools provide guidance on how parents can support children in learning, while 25% of them claim to be facing lack of support from parents in students' learning. Now, 34 lakh students of 1.18 lakh schools in 720 districts from both rural and urban areas participated in this survey. This survey was conducted throughout the country for classes 3, 5, 8 and 10 last year. All right, for more on this, I'm joined by Tanveer Ejaz, who's an academician on this broadcast. Mr. Tanveer, thank you for making time and speaking to Mirror Now. There are some very important takeaways of this National Achievement Survey, but 2-3 things stand out. One, lack of parental support. B, the comprehension skills. They have dropped massively as compared to previous years. And the commute, 48% children go to their school on foot. How do you see these takeaways of the Education Ministry report?
Thank you for having me here. Couple of things I would like to flag off in the beginning is that, when you try to understand a government report, you also must corroborate it with the other report. And I think it's very important to corroborate it with the of education report. ACER is very important. And then when we corroborate and when we try to compare, and then we try to come to some conclusions, the takeaway perhaps would be one is that there has been a very devastating, I would use this word, because since last 5 years the learning outcome is going down. National Achievement Survey was last done in 2017, and our reference point is 2017. So if we are going down from 2017, it's a cause of concern. It's not only just that the learning outcome is going down, the learning competencies, the learning capacities. In fact, it talks a lot about educational institutions. It talks a lot about how we look at the school educations and about the whole access, equity, efficiency, effectiveness, school management, how teachers are being appointed, absenteeism. All these things are very, very important, which comes within the rubric. But talking about students going on foot, and the previous point that we need to work on the penetration of digitalization. Well, you all know that this is the rising petrol price, to have their own private vehicles. Then private transport is becoming very, very expensive. Just imagine, we are not having
All right, I'm afraid we seem to have some technical glitches. I apologize to my viewers for that. We'll try and fix that. But that is the story that we are tracking on Mirror Now. And we were speaking to Mr. Tanveer Ejaz, who was explaining to us the nuances of the National Achievement Survey. Moving on.